Assalamu alaikum. What I'm going to talk to you about in this video cast is the strategic analysis and understanding of this whole terrorism issue along with the government's view on it and the Muslim view on it and what Muslims need to be doing. Now, Western governments have for far too long been waging wars within Muslim countries, propping up dictators. As a result, millions upon millions of Muslims have been oppressed, occupied, murdered, and completely demonized and destroyed. Whole civilizations have been destroyed due to this barbaric foreign policy. Over the years then, Muslims have become more and more resentful of it, and as a result Muslims have taken up arms and violence. This is not something that Western governments themselves have not done against their own rulers and against other people. England versus Germany, for example. What about the Americans when they overthrew the British there because they felt that they were being unfairly treated? The fact that Muslims have taken up violence is not something that the West is unable to comprehend, and this is something that's very important. Why do I stress this point? I stress this point because the way violence is portrayed when Muslims take it up, as opposed to the way their history has used violence and continues to use violence, are two separate things. Muslims are seen as barbaric, almost inherently violent when we take up arms against oppression. They themselves, however, who have committed far more barbaric acts than any Muslims have done in the history of Islam, never portray themselves in the same way. And so this is because it's propaganda, and this is the second point I need to make you understand. When some Muslims started to take up terrorism, the Western governments were left in a conundrum. For the first time, instead of some faraway, foreign policies of propping up murderous dictators, the average Western guy was asking, well, why are we blown up right here in Britain or America or whatever? What's going on? Why are they doing this to us? For the first time, they were asking questions. So Western governments were in a state of problem. If they were to tell them the truth, that's because Muslim countries are being invaded, occupied, brutalized, murdered, then the average Englishman or English Westerner would say, well, it's perhaps not surprising this has happened and we need to get a better foreign policy. So they didn't want to do that. What they then did is they told a propaganda lie. They created something in their propaganda laboratories that was something that said that the Muslims, due to their inherent violent nature, due to a warped version of Islam, hate our freedoms. They hate the fact that we're living in a democracy, and it's against their warped version of Islam, and it's because of these hate preachers that these people, young people, are taking up extremism. In fact, it created a complete lie. It's nothing to do with hate preachers. It had nothing to do with a warped version of Islam, and it had everything to do with a barbaric foreign policy and a reaction to that barbaric foreign policy. It was an extreme action by them that created an extreme reaction by certain Muslims. In short, the root then was their own root failure. The root cause was their failure, their barbaric attacks over the last 100 years. Why do I say this? I say this because unless you understand this, Muslims have got into believing the propaganda lie that's actually been said out there. They believe, and you can see this in the kind of, we're against extremists, and we're the moderate Muslims, and all this kind of, stupidity, that whole game that has been created off the back of this one beautiful lie that simply said it's nothing to do with foreign policy, it's just a creation, all of its own making, of Muslim barbarians who are just extreme in their way of thinking. And until you understand that, until you accept that as the truth, you can never move on and never understand that this is not our fault. And that's the bottom line. The Muslims are the victims both of their foreign policy and the reaction to their foreign policy. We're the double victim. If our children become extremists because of their foreign policy, we've not only lost because of the murder that their foreign policy causes, but we've lost our own children because of the reaction to their foreign policy. They then created propaganda words, things like extremist, jihadist, Islamist. All of these terms were all created to elicit a reaction within the non-understanding non-Muslim. And that non-understanding non-Muslim, once hearing those words, would go into this kind of propaganda state of saying, well, that's a bad word. I'm scared of that word. Therefore, I do not like that person. Therefore, and this is the important bit, I will allow my government to do whatever it takes to get that fear away from me. Lock them up without trial, bomb them, murder them, carry on their foreign policy. And this is one of the most vital strategic points that you as a Muslim need to understand. Islamophobia is directly connected with their foreign policy. The more the non-Muslim hates us and fears us, the more they can continue with their barbaric foreign policy abroad. Muslims then came out with incompetent slogans, things like Islam is peace. I understand what they were trying to do, however, I think it's thunder outside, however, the failure point here is that the non-Muslim couldn't buy that. Every time they saw the television, there was some Muslim acting like an extremist because that's all they were interested in. How were they going to buy a slogan like Islam is peace? They were never going to do it. It sounded like we were lying or just making some stupid slogan up. In fact, we should have been more honest and we should have said Islam is justice. You've murdered the Muslims. Islam isn't peace. When you murder Muslims, Islam says stand up for yourself. That's a hard thing to say, obviously, in a climate of fear, but in fact it's true. And a non-Muslim would understand that more and would respect that more. Lastly, what can we do about this? Firstly, we need to stop living in this trivial religious la-la land that we're doing. Every talk is about another stupid minor point. The permissibility of nail varnish, talks on jinn. Can we wear leather socks for more than 3 days? And every pathetic, stupid argument over and above the fact that our whole religion is being destroyed right around us. The fact that people are being attacked in the street. I knew a brother just the other day who had his jaw broken just for walking down the street because he had a beard. And they're still talking about this pathetic, petty parts of trivial aspects. It's disgraceful. Until it happens to them, it happens to their mothers, their sisters, they don't care. Well, they're still interested in debates about what was happening 12 centuries ago. Secondly, what we need to do is we need to start to teach the non-Muslims, using our Facebook, using the videos, using your blogs, in your workplaces. You need to start speaking to them and telling them the exact truth of the matter. The Muslims are not to blame. We are the victims of their own government's foreign policy. We are the victims of their extremism. And any extremism that comes from the Muslim community is as a reason, the root cause because of their foreign policy. And if you want to cut out this terrorism, if you want to stop this evil, then we need to be honest with ourselves and we need to say, give Muslims freedom, give them peace, stop killing them, stop murdering them, and as a result, young people will not take to extremism. It's one of the most difficult things I've had to say on television, and I had to say it to you because the neocons, Zionists, they hate this message. They don't want this message to get out. You can imagine if the government wants to carry on its foreign policy, they don't want this message getting out. So that makes people like myself a target. But the fact of the matter is, we need to be brave now. If we don't be brave, they will continue to create hatred within society, and we will never be free. Neither will we be safe in this country because people will start to hate us more and more because we were too cowardly to speak up when we had the chance, or will our brothers and sisters around the world stop ever being occupied, bombed, murdered because the good people of England hated us so much that whatever their government said about us, that they were so scared of us that they said, go ahead, do whatever you want, just make sure you get these Muslims. So my name is Asghar Bukhari. I hope you come on the MPAT UK Facebook page. I hope that if you disagree or agree, you'd come and debate it with me on the MPAT UK Facebook page with me or my colleagues. I'd like to see you soon. Assalamu alaikum.